G'day Knuckleheads, Uncle Knackers here, and welcome back to step 2 of my How to Hang a Door series. Now, how'd you go with step 1? Told you it was easy, and now that you've done it, let's look at putting the hinges on the door itself. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know about a door before you do that. First of all, most interior doors are hollow core doors, which means that the door consists of only a band of solid timber going around the outside edge, both sides, top and bottom, and the rest of it is just filled with honeycomb cardboard. So there's nothing to it. But the side where you install your lock, there's a block. It's about 100mm wide and it's in the centre of your door. So to locate that, look at your brand new door and there'll be a sticker. The lock goes on that side of the door. It has to go on that side of the door. If it goes on the other side of the door where you are installing your hinges, there'll be nothing to secure your lock to. So be very aware of that. Alright, and the next thing you need to know, or the next handy tip, is that you need the door to be nice and solid before you start chiseling or using a router. And I've just knocked up this really basic door block. It's a bit of scrap timber with a couple of pieces of timber nailed to it, and the door sits in that slot. Now you can use 2 of these, one up either end, or some guys like to use a sash cramp, which is also very good for doing that job. Okay, let's mark out those hinges. Now my door is swinging in that direction. So this is the hinge side, and the hinge will sit just like that. Now before you start placing your hinges on the door, you need to have worked out which is the top of the door and which is the bottom. That's the top of my door and the bottom is down here. And there's some debate as to how far up the top hinge goes as compared to the bottom hinge. This is a door from Hume Doors, and on their website they recommend that the top hinge starts at 185mm from the top and the bottom hinge 200mm from the bottom, and the one in the middle gets divided between those two there. Now I like to use a butt hinge with a removable pin. That way, if you do need to remove the door down the track, it's just a matter of taking that pin out and the door will come off. Now, this is the top of the door, so we want to measure down 185mm. So I measure that, put a mark on the door, and then place the hinge on that door. And I make sure that, see that little edge there? The edge right there. I line that up with the edge of the door. So I get to my 185mm, place the hinge on that mark and in line with the door. And once the hinge is in place, you can mark around it with your pencil. Just like that. And then get a Stanley knife or a utility knife. Make sure it's nice and sharp. And then you can just cut on those marks. Just like that. Down here as well. Now the reason I like to use a Stanley knife is that it leaves a really sharp edge, whereas if you're marking those with a chisel, it tends to dull over those corners. Anyway, with that now marked, we now go to the bottom where we're 200mm up from there, place the hinge, mark it, and then do one in the centre. Now to get those lines nice and straight, you can also use a square. Put that hard up against the door and then scribe away. Just like that. to make the rebate for the hinge, you can either use the traditional method of using a chisel and just simply make a series of nicks like that. Inside those lines, and then just chisel that out. Clean that up and you've got a nice rebate. Or what I'm going to be using is a router, which I've set up for width-wise as well as depth. And to set up the depth and the width of your router cut, just do a few test runs over an old scrap piece of timber until you get it just right. Beautiful. And make sure when you're using a power tool like a router that you're wearing your safety glasses or goggles and some hearing protection. We are good to go. With the bulk of that product now taken out, you can finish it off with your chisel and your Stanley knife. So get those edges, just follow that line through, then get your knife and just work that excess out like that. And you'll finish up with a really nice sharp edge. Beautiful. And down here, same thing, just clean that up. And what you get, that's it. And now the hinge should fit beautifully. Which it does. That's magic. With this hinge now done, all we need to do is the other two hinges. And there we have it. All three hinges rebated out and ready to be screwed on. Now that fits like a glove. Now to screw the hinges in place, I first of all pre-drill the holes. I use my thumb as a guide. One. Just use your thumb to guide the drill bit. Like that, the last one. There we go. Now, grab your Phillips head bit and now just insert these screws. Don't go too hard. Just nice and soft, nice and gentle. And those screws should finish flush with that surface. You don't want the screws sticking up, otherwise they'll bind when the hinge closes. Beautiful. Now the other two hinges. So there the hinges are all attached to the door, and the door's now ready to be hung off a door jamb. But I think that's enough for video 2. I'll leave a link to video 3 in the description box below. So make sure you check that one out. It's where we attach the door to that door jamb. Now, what I want you to do now is to go out to the shed, put those hinges on, come back and tell me how you went by leaving a comment in the comment section below. Well, I hope you enjoyed and found that video useful, and as per usual, a big thumbs up is always greatly appreciated, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more handy tips. Alrighty, out to the shed, let me know how you go, good luck, till then, cheers.